Hello, and welcome to Aunt Pam's Christmas Candy Making Corner. This episode is brought to you by a request for my Almond Joys. So, Isabel, this video's for you. This is such a simple recipe, and someday Aunt Pam's not going to be here, and you're going to wish you knew how to make these Almond Joys. There's a simple, like 4 or 5 ingredients. I've got 1 bag of coconut in here. It calls for 2 bags of coconut. I like to use the sweetened coconut, small flakes. The big flakes are just too big for this recipe. Calls for a can of sweetened. I'm doubling this recipe, by the way. So I'm putting in 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. This makes this stuff gooey and sweet. You spare no calories in this recipe. So these are just your normal little, 14-ounce cans. Put 2 of those in there. These bags of coconut are 14 ounces each. It calls for 17-ounce bags. So I have a 3rd bag. I will end up using some of that. I need 2 pounds, 2 pounds of powdered sugar. Like I said, this spares no calories. And you just stir this up. Until you get the consistency you want. I got this recipe from my coworker's mother. It took me about 6 years to get this recipe from her. She had it in her head, and about the last 3 years of me begging, I said, please let me come help your mother at Christmas time. She was getting older, and I says, I will just watch her and help her and write down the recipe. Well, after that 3rd year of me begging, he surprised me and gave me her recipe. So I have been making this every year since. Now this is, I'm not sure that I'm going to need that other bag of coconut. This is, kind of go by consistency and feel. 1 year I added a little bit too much coconut and made it a little dry, but I'll show you the consistency when I get it mixed up more, and I will come back when I get it the consistency I want. So I left out one of the ingredients, is why it was so dry. I needed to melt 2 sticks of butter, which is 1 cup. So I'm going to go over that recipe again. You're going to need, I'm just going to give you a single recipe, 17-ounce bag of sweetened coconut. I've used the unsweetened, and they really didn't turn out very good that year. 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, a stick of butter. Melt your butter, put all those 4 ingredients in your bowl, along with a pound of powdered sugar. And mind you, like I said, I doubled this recipe because if you're gonna make these things, they go quick. And these freeze really well, so it's gonna be sticky. So I suggest gloving up for this part. You can make them as big or as small as you want. I just shape them up, kind of in a little log, the size of a, I make mine a little bigger than an Almond Joy. Super, super easy. I use raw almonds, the whole raw almonds. You can put as many almonds in here as you want. I'm putting 3 because these little logs are a little bit bigger than normal. 1 year I put them inside and they didn't quite care for them inside. So after you get these all formed, I like to put these in the refrigerator until they're thoroughly chilled. You want these very, very cold. When they're cold, and I use a double broiler to melt my chocolate, and I use dark chocolate. If you use semi-sweet chocolate, these things are sickening, way too sweet. So the dark chocolate just kind of mellows these out a little bit because, well, you saw how much sugar went into this. And they are that easy. These are no bake. Probably gonna, well, the mister wants the kitchen. I kind of halted his cookie production for a little bit while I'm getting these formed and ready to make. So when I get ready to dip them, I will show you my little tricks that I do. I use 2 forks to dip in the double broiler, just to keep your fingers out and just easier to manipulate them with 2 forks. And then once you get them dipped in the chocolate, you put them back in the refrigerator. They set up pretty quick. And wrap them in. I use some really cute decorative saran wrap. I think I have some left. And package them up, stick them in freezer bags, and they seriously will, well, they'll last as long as you stay out of them in the freezer. I've never had them last more than a couple months because they just seem to get eaten before they would ever go bad. Hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I will come back when I'm getting ready to dip them. Yeah, I've got the chocolate all melted in the double broiler. I like using a small one because it seems like you waste less chocolate that way. These have been sitting in the freezer for, I don't know, a couple hours now. I like to use 2 forks. It's just easier to manipulate the little bars. We can scrape the chocolate off the bottom. Just that easy. You just roll them in the chocolate. I like to scrape as much off the bottom as possible. You don't want that chocolate too terribly thick. With these being so cold, if your chocolate starts to harden on you, just pause for a little bit, stir it up, let it get remelted. And it does happen, and it's, the Almond Joys these are cold out of the freezer, so. And it's that easy. Dip them, flip them, and put it on the pan. I hope everyone enjoyed this little video as much as I'm going to enjoy this Almond Joy. It's officially taste testing time, and I've asked the mister to give me his opinion on this year's batch. Want to be the first tester?
Sure, I'll happily be the first tester. I am so fortunate that my wife knows how to make these.
Edible?
Best Almond Joy ever. Yum.
Oh my God.
Yep.
These are as serious as a heart attack.
Yeah, they are.
These are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
Mm.
Yum. Good job, honey.